During a 1975 lecture at Portland State University, Toni Morrison, as she often did, said something that was incredibly profound. The very serious function of racism is a distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Now, I thought about her words immediately when I read about the Department of Defense removing the military story of Jackie Robinson from its website, though later they restored it after a wave of understandable outrage. They claimed it was a mistake. Now, Robinson is widely considered one of the country's great heroes, a patriot who loved this country, and a stellar all-around athlete who integrated Major League Baseball in 1947, forever changing the sport. But Robinson understood this country. While it might be worth fighting for, it also had deep flaws. Toni Morrison understood this too, and that racism, in fact, was one of the deepest flaws this country has ever had.
It's also constructed. It's also made, and it also has some kind of serviceability. But when you take it away, I take your race away. And there you are, all strung out, and all you got is your little self. And what is that? What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? You still smart? You still like yourself? I mean, these are the questions.
It's impossible to believe this was just some innocent accident when this presidential administration has made it painfully clear that it holds a special kind of hostility when it comes to acknowledging, celebrating, and memorializing the contributions of people who are not white men. They not only removed the page dedicated to Jackie Robinson's military history, but also the content that honored the Tuskegee Airmen, the Navajo Code Talkers, history-making female fighter pilots, and Native American soldier Ira Hayes, who was one of the 6 flag raisers in the iconic World War II photo. When ESPN baseball writer Jeff Passan asked the Department of Defense why they removed Jackie Robinson's page, Pentagon Press Secretary John Olyott, and I truly hope I'm pronouncing his name wrong, he had this to say. As Secretary Hegseth has said, DEI is dead at the Defense Department. Discriminatory equity ideology is a form of woke cultural Marxism that has no place in our military. It divides the force, erodes unit cohesion, and interferes with the service's core warfighting mission. We are pleased by the rapid compliance across the department with the directive removing DEI content from all platforms. In the rare cases content is removed, either deliberately or by mistake, that is out of the clearly outlined scope of the directive. We instruct the components and they correct the content accordingly. Boy, he hit every crazy ass buzzword on the bingo card, didn't he? Discriminatory equity ideology, which is not what DEI actually stands for. Throwing up a word salad with woke and cultural Marxism. I bet you $100 he doesn't even know what any of that shit means. But maybe the reason the Department of Defense tried to slyly erase the history of Jackie Robinson's military service is because there is a pretty interesting reason Robinson was honorably discharged from the military. Here's sportscaster Kurt Menefee with the Cliff Notes version.
When he went into the military and it was segregated, he was chastised for not keeping himself separate on a bus and sitting in the back of the bus where the black guys were supposed to sit. He said, hey, I'm a man. I'm a college-educated man. I'm not going to do that. Well, the military came down on him because they were segregated at the time. And so the charges were kind of trumped up at the beginning. They charged him with public drunkenness, and he's a guy who doesn't even drink. And so once everything got cleared out, it wound up being just a very minor mark on his military record. But I think it was a major moment for him because it showed that he could stand up to authority and not actually have to cow to anyone.
Now, while this was mentioned on the Department of Defense page honoring Robinson, I bet a lot of people who wouldn't have normally visited that page have now learned something new. And now that the Department of Defense has given us a reason to revisit Robinson's history, let me tell you the whole story and not just the sanitized version many of us learned about Jackie Robinson. A lot of times when Robinson is complimented, people mention how he carried himself with dignity and class while facing incredible racism when he integrated Major League Baseball. All true, but that's kind of the PG version. While it's true that Jackie Robinson did promise Brooklyn Dodgers executive Branch Rickey that he wouldn't respond to racism that he faced on a routine basis during his first season, as his career progressed, Robinson became increasingly outspoken. In fact, he was so outspoken that some black people worried that he was going to ruin the chances for other black players who might follow in his footsteps. And then there was Robinson's post-baseball life. In 1957, Robinson pressured President Dwight Eisenhower to send troops to Little Rock, Arkansas to protect black students seeking to desegregate public schools. He helped raise bail money for college students who were engaging in sit-ins in the South. He led a fundraiser to raise money to rebuild black churches that had been burned down by racists in the South. He was a constant presence in helping Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s voter registration drives. He was a huge advocate for the Black Panther Party. He criticized the police for their treatment of Black people and the banking industry for discriminating against Black neighborhoods. In Robinson's 1972 memoir, I Never Had It Made, Jackie Robinson wrote this: "There I was, the Black grandson of a slave, the son of a Black sharecropper, part of a historic occasion, a symbolic hero to my people. The air was sparkling, the sunlight was warm, the band struck up the national anthem, the flag billowed in the wind. It should have been a glorious moment for me as the stirring words of the national anthem poured from the stands. Perhaps it was, but then again, perhaps the anthem should be called the theme song for a drama called The Noble Experiment." Today, as I look back on that opening game of my first World Series, I must tell you that it was Mr. Ricky's drama and that I was only a principal actor. As I write this 20 years later, I cannot stand and sing the anthem. I cannot salute the flag. I know that I am a Black man in a white world. In 1972 and 1947, at my birth in 1919, I know that I never had it made. Of course, on that Department of Defense page that had to be restored, they didn't mention this part of Jackie Robinson's legacy, because the entire point of trying to bury his legacy isn't to decrease division. The point is to erase history so that people forget that you're actually repeating it. I'm Jemele Hill, and I approve this message.